it's your girl, Miss Trina with Chat with Trina. Thanks for making the choice to click in today. I am chatting it up with Miss Susan Phillips, who happens to be this phenomenal dancer and just an all-around kind person. And she's also the daughter of Mr. Bum Phillips. Make sure that you watch to the very end so you can remember to go to youtube.com/chat with Trina and subscribe to my channel. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. It is Miss Trina with Chat with Trina. And I want to thank y'all for making the choice to click in as always. And I am so appreciative of those of you who do support me, who do watch the show when you can. I just want to say thank you. And I don't take that for granted at all. But today I have a super special guest, and her name is Miss Susan Phillips. And not only is she a phenomenal dancer, she's also the daughter of Mr. Bum Phillips. And I found out he has a whole nother name today. So it's so funny. The things that you don't know. Hey, Susan, how are you?
I'm doing terrific. I'm so thankful that you did this. I'm all in my love you blue spirit.
I know. Matter of fact, I have it for a question later, but I'm gonna ask now. My friend Troy Bolden has a motorcycle that's decked out in Love You Blue. What did you think when you first saw that?
I took a picture with him. The one the first time I saw it. He's changed it over the years. That is phenomenal. That is. I see things like that, trucks or cars or all kinds of things. I'm just amazed at how people are still, so fascinated with Love You Blue.
Your actual name on your birth certificate, Susan Phillips?
Yeah, Susan Elizabeth Phillips.
Susan Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I have to ask, I'm nosy. Is your mom blonde?
Yeah, my dad had black hair. I mean, it was jet black, very dark skin, very broad shoulders, very short legs, very long body. My mother was just the opposite. As thick as you could get, as blonde as you could get. They both had blue eyes, but they were opposite shapes, everything. They were very different.
Am I correct in assuming that you were born and raised in Houston, Texas?
No. My dad, when I was growing up, my dad was in World War II. And when he came home, he married my mom. And he started college at Lamar University when it was a junior college. He played ball at Lamar. And then he finished at Stephen F. Austin. He played college. He was a guard. He was all conference guard for Stephen F. Austin. My brother Wade was born in Orange, Texas, but they were in college, but she'd come home to have the baby. Mother and daddy both were born in Orange. Wade was born in Orange. I was born in Orange. And one of my other sisters was born in Orange. So the first three kids were within the first 5 years that were married. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he was a high school coach to start. So for the first 18 years of my life, my father was either a high school coach or an assistant college coach. But I'm sure everybody in Texas knew him because he only coached in Texas. But everybody in Texas knew him for sure.
So that's pretty much all you knew was football from day one.
Yeah.
Are you like literally a football fan though? Like, do you really like football?
Oh yeah. Well, it's bread and butter. It is different for us. There's fans, and I understand. People are passionate about their team, but if we did really well, we had to move, and if we didn't do well, we had to move. So really and truly, and like I say, being a high school coach with 6 kids, you move a lot trying to get a better job, that kind of thing. So we're very close, all of the 6 kids, but we're 20 years between the oldest and the youngest. My brother is the oldest, and my baby sister is 20 years younger than he is.
Where do you fall in?
I'm the second to the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have 4 younger sisters. Yeah.
Also, how many brothers?
5 girls, 1 boy. We call Wade our favorite brother. He's our favorite brother. Actually, he's our only brother.
Only brother.
If we had another one, he'd still be the favorite.
It'd still be Wade. That's too. Was it like having a big family? Did you enjoy that? Was it fun? It's only my sister.
Oh yeah, I loved our family. I still am very, very, very. We're very close-knit family. We're very blessed that we still have all our siblings. A lot of people lose siblings over the years, but we had a very large family. when you move every year or every 2 years, your best friends are still your sisters and your brothers. So we stood up for each other, we cheer for each other, we cry for each other. You know, we love each other a whole lot. It's very
Was it
close.
difficult when you were moving from different schools?
Okay, everything has advantages and disadvantages. The advantages were that, you know, I learned how to meet people real quick, and because you weren't going to be there long. So I love people. I love people. My dad loved people. You know, I love people. I love to learn about them. I like to find out what's going on with them and that kind of thing. So every town I moved to, I fell in love with the people. I had a lot of fun in every town I was in. But I think as you got older, it was difficult for a boy. If you played a sport and you were really good, they accepted you right away because you could help them win. With a girl, you were competition because girls back then weren't as athletic as they are now. If they were, I would have been the best of the best, you know. So they would have wanted me on their team.
Right.
But you know, because I'm that kind of person. About, you can see how passionate I am about dancing. Well, I think if I'd have played a sport, I would have been just as passionate.
Did you do any sports in school?
Oh, there wasn't a lot of sports. I played volleyball. I'm not very tall, but I played volleyball. In fact, I broke my finger. My dad told me it wasn't broken, so I didn't go to the doctor, and I have a crooked finger. So anyway, you know, he just told me I was being a sissy. And
that means that's that no pain, no gain type of.
Yeah, you're all right. You're all right. You're all right. So anyway, we joke, don't ask dad if you feel like you've got a broken finger.
Right.
But yeah, I played softball, I played, you know, stuff, but it wasn't real pushed for girls to do that.
Gotcha. That makes sense. What do you think about women playing football now?
I think it's pretty cool. Actually, I know a couple of people that I've met here in Houston that have played on women's sports teams, and I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I think football, baseball, any kind of sport, especially a team sport, teaches people a lot more than just how to throw a football. You know, it teaches you about a lot of life skills.
Discipline for sure.
Yeah.
So, I was a track star. I hated practicing. And until they pulled me from a track meet and wouldn't let me run, I would miss practice all the time. And finally it was like, okay, well, look, we just gonna have to keep you from a meet. So didn't miss practice anymore. Every time I see you, you're very nice, but you're very quiet. Have you always been nice and quiet?
Yeah. When I'm out dancing, this is just me. I mean, I get so focused on the music and the feeling and the dance that I'm really there to get that energy out, or whatever you want to call it. And it's just joyful. I mean, it's just so much fun to me. And so I guess I learned, especially, you know, like I say, I used to, a long time ago, I country and Western danced. I learned that by watching. I can teach by count. I can teach the way you're supposed to be taught, but I can't learn that way. The only way I've been able to learn is to watch. Well, first of all, I have to be interested in the dance. I have to think that dance is like the one.
It's cool.
And then I watch different women and I watch different men. And what I do is I mimic what they're doing, you know, and then once I get the beat or whatever, and if the guy's a good dancer, then I improve on it or put my own spin on it. But that's what I'm doing. Is it's almost like a competition with myself, especially as I get older, you know, to see if I can still dance at that level. I have a niece, Wade's daughter, my brother's daughter. She's a choreographer in Hollywood. She's danced with Usher, Prince, Justin Timberlake. She's been in videos. I mean, she got the gene, you know. I got it. It came from my mom, and actually her mother is my brother's wife is a really phenomenal dancer. So that natural rhythm and that intuition to how to pick it up. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I'm quiet. I want to dance.
And that was my thing. Next thing is I see you are very, I don't say focused. I see that you're in your happy place and you're in your zone. Like,
that's exactly.
And, I watch people all the time. So I'm a people watcher sometimes, but I watch you and I say, oh, she's in that zone and this is her happy place. And what I also appreciate about you that I see is that you really don't care about anything else that's going on around you. You'll dance by yourself and who cares what, whoever, you just be doing your thing. And I love that because I'm someone that's always thinking about what are they thinking? What are they saying? Are they talking about? You just be into it, whatever. I am in my happy place. So that's
people say stuff and they'll say, where'd you learn how to do that? And I said, you just come here and, but I think the thing for me is, I don't know if anybody else thinks I'm good or not good. I just know I have more fun than anybody there. I have more fun than anybody there. And it never fails. I dance my couple of hours and it's just awesome. It's just an awesome feeling.
Good. There's sometimes I've been super sad. I tell people dancing is my happy place too. But I have to go where there are happy people. But anyway, I can go get me a dance or two and leave because I'm good. I just need a couple of dances. I prefer to have a lot more, but if I only get 2 or 3, that's like enough to fulfill me until the next time I can get to the dance floor. So that and live music.
Right.
What is you do several dances. What do you do West Coast? West Coast?
Oh, West Coast. Okay. When I learned a similar dance, they didn't call it West Coast. They called it the whip. This was 25 years ago.
Yes.
And this was, it was kind of like the movie Dirty Dancing, it was some sort of where your body's just kind of whatever. Back in the day, I did all of that. And then after country and Western, I competition country danced. But people got way too serious about winning contests, and it took the fun out of it. So I quit doing that. And the next dance I did was two-step, not swing out, but two-step. And there was a place here in town that called it, they had West Coast Swing, which was similar, but I tried to take lessons and my brain and my feet don't talk. And so I got real frustrated, and a guy that ran he was one of the owners. He had danced with me at the Big Easy, and he said, why are you taking lessons? You're a natural, just come here. And if the guy's a real good lead, I can do it. But I prefer the two-step because the girl can show off. She isn't being led by the guy constantly. She has
her opportunity to
So.
And I like that too. I was actually saying that to someone the other day. It's a new dancer, and I mentioned to him because I danced with him, and I mentioned to him, it's okay sometimes just to let go, let her showcase a little bit, He was just holding on, trying to be a good lead, and it was like, can I do a little quick twist?
yeah. Zydeco though, I don't know, there was about 10 years ago, I was at Jack's Grill on a date, not there for dancing. I didn't know anything about Zydeco. And I was on the patio and I had a date and I heard the music start. And I think it was Stepperito. I'm not really sure which band it was. And I went inside Jack's Grill, and when I saw the band, how they were, how people were, the atmosphere, oh my God, I fell in love with that. And I went out and I said to my date, I said, do you know how to do that? And he said, no. I said, do you want to learn how to do that? He said, no. And so I never dated him again. Okay. I decided that I would date the band, not the people, but follow that band. And I think it might have been Stepperito, but I began to find out where they went. And if you meet one dancer, if you go once a week and you meet one dancer, in 52 weeks, 52 people that'll dance with you. So that's how I adopt a new dance. But Zydeco, I don't know, you cannot think about problems in Zydeco.
No. And the music is such a happy music, And I tell people when Zydeco is like, you gotta dance in your seat. If you don't want to get up, you're gonna have to wiggle in your seat. So Right. And then Jack's is just I like Jack. I really like Jack because it's a family-oriented place, kind of, and and it's just always fun. So, and I believe that's where I first saw you at. But I had no idea for years that you were the daughter of Bum Phillips. I had no idea. I still to this day don't know how I found out. I'm sure someone must have said, that's Bum Phillips' daughter. But otherwise, I didn't know because I know Henry as well. Then you used to teach.
I taught for Henry. Yeah, he's awesome. good dancer, great dancer. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite dance?
Well, right now it's Zydeco, obviously, but I think two-step, Houston two-step is elegant, sexy.
Mm-hmm.
It's elegant, sexy, and like I say, it's I don't know. That's a very romantic dance. Now that I'm married, though, my husband doesn't dance. He can freestyle, but he's not real good. So, in fact, that was the whole thing. Was I said to him, if we got married, I guess I'd have to give up dancing, and he said, why would you give up something you love? And so
Awesome.
that's when I knew that I could still have my passion.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just a
Well,
passion.
that's really good to hear that, because that's it's hard to have to give up something that you love, and it's good he said that, because they all don't think like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Many people want to know. I want to know, what was it like growing up with Bum Phillips as your dad?
Well, like I say, my dad didn't change from when he wasn't famous
Mm-hmm.
and when he became famous. He was the same person before as he was after. I mean, of course, our extended family got much larger, because my dad, anybody that played high school for him, college for him, whatever. I mean,
Family.
you're accepted, you're loved, you're cared for. It's like family, it's extended family. But by the time I was 18, my dad got his first pro job, and it wasn't the Oilers, it was the San Diego Chargers. And it was the first, I was living in Houston. I just lived in Houston. I was graduating high school in Houston. And the day after I graduated high school, we moved to California.
Wow.
And that sounds exciting, but when you're 18 years old and you wanted to go to college, where my brother was at U of H playing ball. I wanted to go to U of H, plus my high school friends were going to U of H, and I had to move again. And so I lost every friend,
Oh,
because back then, even long distance phone calls,
it was
were,
hard. Yeah, it's not like it is now. You can have a cell phone, call everywhere.
yeah. So you just kind of lost, you wrote letters for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, eventually I ended up back in Texas. I was an airline stewardess. There were some things I did. And then I ended up back in Texas. And, so by the time 74 rolled around, Dad was a college coach again, um, assistant. And when he got the job in Houston was 1974. Well, my son was born in 1973. So I was married and lived in Orange, Texas, little town.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, in fact, my parents being in California when I got married in Orange, Texas, my brother was a high school coach there. So my brother gave me away because my parents and my siblings couldn't
Couldn't come.
afford to fly. So there were, but I mean, it's just, yeah, there's just pros and cons. But when Dad got that head coaching job at Houston, that was such let's see, I don't know if you can see this. This is my son with my dad.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes. Oh, I see the black hair now. Okay.
Yeah, his hair was very, very black. He had French and Indian, so he had really dark kind of skin.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was so much fun for my son. I when Brandon was small, I got a divorce and I moved to Houston during Love You Blue, and but Dad himself didn't change. There's a lot of ways people discipline children, and my dad, when you did something wrong, he never attacked your character. He never attacked your character. He talked to you about your behavior, and he talked to you about what he would like you to do and why. But he never told you you were bad. He
Right.
never one time told me he was disappointed. I'm so disappointed. How people break children's spirits sometimes.
Definitely.
Um, um, he disciplines you though. If he told you, if you do that again, you'll get a whipping with a razor strap. Believe me, you got a whipping with a razor strap.
Razor strap.
But he never hit you, when he was angry. He always calmed himself down. But yeah, he was wise. He was so wise, and you weren't afraid to talk to him about anything.
I see you quote him often.
Yeah.
And I always think that's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. I think all of us do, all of the kids, and our mother too. I mean, they were very different, but we learned different things from both of them that really made us, partially who we are. Part of it's our own personality.
Is mom still with us, or she passed?
She's passed. She died at 96, so she lived a good life. And of course, dad was 90. My parents did divorce, and my stepmom is still living.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did your dad ever share with you guys what his biggest accomplishment would be, that he was most proud of with his career?
I think I don't know that dad was the type person that, I mean, I think people were important to him. I don't know that accomplishments or, I don't know that it was that. It was more, he had such a huge heart and he cared about people, and it's evident from his first job through the last job. It was relationships. I don't know that he focused on accomplishments. I think personally he was innovative in the 3-4 defense, bringing it into the NFL. A lot of people don't know that if they know what defenses are. But he worked for Texas A&M for Bear Bryant when Bear Bryant was at Texas A&M. He found dad in high school ball, which dad created a whole kind of a defense thing. Anyway, he brought it into college ball, but he didn't want to go to Alabama because he wanted to stay in Texas. So dad didn't go with Bear to Alabama, but eventually brought his version of a 3-4 defense into the NFL. So, and my brother has probably improved on that. Now, my nephew is also NFL coach.
No,
Yeah, Wade's son, his only son. My dad was an only son. My brother's an only son, and my nephew's an only son. Wes Phillips is now the offensive coordinator of the Vikings, but he just won the Super Bowl with the Rams as an offensive tight ends coach, and he was the passing game coordinator for the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Okay, no,
so he has a big ring. Has a big ring.
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure. Do you think that first of all, I did read today that he was a people person and he did treat his team like family.
Absolutely.
That what you said about discipline, he didn't do that screaming and hollering, and he'd rather leave or not be a part of it. I think that's what I read, than do berate them or treat them horribly.
Yeah, he passed that down. I mean, it's respect. He shows respect for people, and it's a style, I guess you could say, and there's success, all different styles. But I think that the relationships that dad made. Even I went last year. That's where I got this last year. Dad was because the Titans have the history of the Oilers, and so Amy Adams Strunk called each of us personally, of the kids, and told us last year that she would pay for us and all of our families to fly to Tennessee last year in September to have my dad's name honored in the Ring of Honor.
Awesome.
Oiler, she calls it the Oiler Titan Ring of Honor and it was a Love You Blue reunion too, which she pays for every year for the Oiler. Since she's taken over, since she became the controlling owner of the Titans, it's amazing the way she's embraced. And her and my dad were born on the same day, and that's so funny because they have the same kind of heart. They have the same kind of kind. They're just kind people, good people. But anyway, it was just really awesome, because the players, all of them that come up and talk to us about dad and what he did for them, and he did those things for us. So it isn't,
Definitely.
I call almost every one of them my other brother. Earl's my other brother, and this is Dan's my other brother, and
I used to love, I don't know why, but I was little back then. Dan Pastorini. I used to love to say his last name, Pastorini. Don't ask me why that was so fascinating to me, but I used to like.
That was my son's first real long word.
Pastorini?
was Pastorini, and he would say it. He said it Pastorini like that. And I remember Dan going, "Did he just say my name?" And I said, "Yeah, he picks out sevens. He
That
points
is
at
too
sevens."
funny.
Yeah.
Well, my aunt Pat was she was a big fan, and she was very close to Earl Campbell. I get Earl Campbell on his show one day. But are you said you still communicate with them sometimes, or?
When there's something where we can get
Okay.
together, it's of course they keep up. Wade keeps up more because he's involved,
Right.
but we have been invited to a lot of things over the years, and I know Robert Brazil, which I don't know if you met my husband, but my husband is 6'7", okay,
In
and
the pictures,
Robert Brazil is real large too.
okay.
And the first time I was engaged to David, and I introduced him to Robert Brazil, and he shook my husband's hand real tight, and he said he looked him right in the eye and told him, "This girl better never have to call me, or he'll be sorry." So anyway, they do that kind of thing, but they're people too. They're wonderful people. Earl Campbell is amazing. He's phenomenal. He I have to say this about him. He used to visit even in New Orleans, or at the ranch. Dad lived in Goliad on a ranch. I'd come to Goliad and Earl would be there when I went to, wherever I went. It seemed like Earl was there. Finally, one day I said, "You're making me look really bad as a kid because you visit my dad more than I do." But he just laughed. He just laughed.
He and your dad were continue to be pretty close.
Oh, I mean, my dad loved the people that he was close to. Those players, they were kids too. Right. I like to say he had enough love to go around. He had enough love to go around. And a lot of people would maybe be jealous, and I don't know, how other people feel about it. I just know that I know he loved me. And he didn't have to quit loving me to love Earl, and he didn't have to quit loving, I just know he had enough love to go around.
Everybody. I love that. Do you have not famous, do you have a favorite? I know this will be so hard. This will be hard for me with my parents too, but do you have a favorite thing or something that always stays with you that he said to you? Or do you have just so many that
he had a lot of things that he taught me. I post a lot of them because I don't want to forget them.
Right.
The one where he told me that, your reputation is what other people think of you. And, that's one thing in life you probably deserve, good or bad, is your reputation. But, he talked to you a lot about your character, that whether other people know you tell the truth or do the right thing, that and God knows. So just, there's so many I would have to think of a certain, I tell you a funny thing he told me was, I was married twice. The second time I was married, I had told him I was going to get a divorce, and I told him that, I wondered if he could be there for my son and I, if I needed him financially or emotionally or whatever. And of course he said, of course the answer was yes. And then he told me, Susan, your picker's broke, because, I've been divorced twice. So he told me your picker's broke. So, I decided after that if I got married, they had to go through
your dad. So his picker would work. His picker worked.
Yeah. He was a good judge of character. He was a good judge of character.
I'm sure. That's something some of us all need to kind of wish we all had, that radar. I didn't know that he actually did football on television. Was he a broadcaster or something, or a?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
After he left New Orleans, he decided, Bob Allen did a kind of a special when Dad quit sports. Dad said when it quit being fun, he would walk away, and he walked away from the Saints. And when he did, there was a song out at something, in a way I'm glad it's over, in a way it turns me inside out. And if you listen to those words, it's a tearjerker, but it really was kind of how he felt about the sport, but he was ready to go. And, a lot of people held a grudge against Mr. Adams for firing Dad. But the story is that the day that he made Dad the head coach of the Oilers, my dad told him that giving him that opportunity, who had only been an assistant college and a high school coach, and he had been in the pros as a defensive coordinator 3 years, and the rest of it was all high school college. He said giving him that opportunity, that he would never be able to thank him enough. So Dad knew that first year, I think he gave him a 1-year contract. But Dad knew that whether he made it or not, this was such an opportunity. And, he really thought they were going to give him a raise. So he was shocked when he got fired. But, he never held a grudge against Mr. Adams, because Mr. Adams is the one that gave him the opportunity of a lifetime. And he knew that he felt, I know in my heart of hearts, if he'd had another year or two, we'd have done the Super Bowl. Yeah. But we'll never know. But I'm pretty sure. Right. That's what's said. It shows his character. He didn't hold grudges.
To even think that way. Yeah, to know what the opportunity that was. How long was he with the Oilers?
How long? Well, 74. Sid Gilman, because Dad had worked for Sid Gilman in the San Diego Chargers for that 3 years. And then when Sid got fired, Dad didn't get the head job. So he went to SMU as an assistant, and then he went to Oklahoma State. And then Sid Gilman was with the Oilers. And when he recruited Dad in San Diego, he wouldn't let Dad run that 3-4 defense that he wanted to run. And he enticed him by saying, if you come down here, I'll let you run that 3-4 defense, because they all ran 4-3 back then. But anyway, long story short is he came down here, and they had been in the cellar, and a lot of the defense, they went 7-7 with Dad as defensive coordinator. And then he was head coach, and they went 10-4. Yeah. And so he was there. They fired him in January 1st, 81. So he coached as a head coach from 75 to 80.
Okay. Why I asked that, why that's so interesting, is like you can't say Houston Oilers without thinking about Bum Phillips.
Yeah.
It seems like, just me not knowing, because I'm not really into football, but I knew back then, the Houston Oilers. I still know the song, but I was, every blue moon, I'll just throw it out. I'll start singing that song. I don't know why. It's weird, but I do. But so
everybody, I don't know. That's the thing when you see the videos. Imagine, like Dad said, imagine if we would have won. I mean, the stadium was packed. The freeways. It was kind of like, it was nowhere near what the parade they had for the Astros yesterday, like that. But I mean, I'm sure it would have been like that, or even more so. But can you imagine? It united the city. The players were united. They were, like family to each other. Dad used to say that, if it's just a teammate or just a coworker, you're not going to give it your all. But if it's your brother, if it's your, family, you're gonna die for them. You're gonna do whatever it takes. And the city got on top of that. It was awesome.
But it's just so crazy that it seems like he was there forever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if anybody remembers the coach before him. Does that, you know what I mean? Like, it's like all you know is the Houston Oilers, Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, Bum Phillips. So that's why that was interesting to me, because again, I'm not really into football. I don't understand it, but I do know the Houston Oilers. I know Bum Phillips, and those are the two players. So it's just amazing to me that he that was like 5 years that he was a head coach. So just think, like he said, if he'd won the Super Bowl, or if he would have stayed longer.
Yeah, he didn't really want to go anywhere else, and actually, he didn't know what he was going to do when they fired him. That wasn't the plan. He was building a retirement home on Highway 6 and going to have his horses and go back to rent, because Dad's a cowboy, at heart. He's small town guy. And so that was all, the house wasn't even built, and then all of a sudden he got fired. So anyway, that was when John Meekum contacted him from the New Orleans Saints. And Dad had said that the only other place he would have considered was Louisiana, because of the fact, being born in Orange, on one side of the river, your name is Richard. On the other side, it's Richards. I mean, it's right there. So the French, influence because he liked the people. He likes the people. He's a people person. I'm a people person. I like people. I like, so.
You can tell. I didn't know that either today until I read it that he coached for the New Orleans Saints. So that's always that's why I have to everybody that there is a book called Son of Bum, which is by Mr. Wade Phillips.
Right.
So I didn't know because I did it, so I'm gonna get it. And then the autobiography is called.
It's called Coach Cowboy Christian. Late in Dad's life, he became a born-again Christian. He accepted Christ. He grew up, with Christian values and with parents. It was, back during the Depression and stuff. And if you read his book, I mean, he really grew up. I mean, I don't think they felt poor, but they basically would be seen as poor, but they didn't feel poor, But anyway, he always believed in God. And when he was in World War II, he'll tell you, but he was a Marine Raider, which back then they didn't have Green Beret and Special Forces, but the Roosevelt Raiders were that. They were hand-to-hand combat in the Solomon Islands and different places. And that's part of the reason he wrote the book, because we didn't know what happened to him in life and what changed him and things. But Mike Barber, of course, after he got out of football, he got saved, and he kept witnessing to Dad. All of us, the girls, are all, we kept witnessing to Dad. But just like Dad says in the book, you don't push anything on anybody. They have to be attracted to what it is and want to know what that is, what that.
Like you with dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you with dancing. Like you said, you have to be attracted to, you have to like it.
Yeah. And it slowly but surely, and the wife that he married also, was born again. So it all came together, and late in life, he got dunked in a horse trough at, the ranch, Mike Barber, baptized him. He had been baptized as a young boy.
Right.
And he rededicated his life. So he called it Coach Cowboy Christian. Okay. And it's a great present. It only comes in paperback because he wanted people to be able to afford it. He didn't care anything about making any money. All the money on it goes to charities, to Bum Phillips charities. Okay. And like if you go on Amazon Smile, you can donate to a charity. If you want to donate to Bum Phillips charity, because my stepmom still has the charity. Okay. And so it's God's hand. I don't know how to explain it. It's just awesome. It's awesome.
Do you guys do anything special to recognize his anything about him every year, either anniversary or birthday? Do y'all do anything special?
Well, a lot of us, my dad was born September 29th, and I was born September 25th. A lot of my siblings are fall birthdays, whatever. We used to, now that Wes is still in the sports, okay, and Wes has been with the Dallas Cowboys when Wade was head coach there. So Wes coached there for 5, 6, 7 years, something. Redskins, then he was with the Rams, won a Super Bowl ring. Now he's with the Vikings that are 7-1. But anyway,
Add that in.
Yeah, just advertising. So on our birthdays or Dad's birthday, we always like to win football games, so dedicate football games to that. But Dad is buried on the ranch. Some people know when Dad died, they had a memorial service at a high school football stadium near Goliad, Texas, for all the people around there, because he was a high school coach for 20 years, They had Lakewood Church, Joel Osteen, his family, Dodie Osteen and them. That was awesome. And of course, all the Houston people that wanted to come, and sang Love You Blue and, all that kind of thing. It was really awesome. They had his actual graveside service was family only, but with 6 kids in the family, 24 grandkids, not counting 24 grandkids, not counting spouses.
Right.
Old enough, and now great grandkids. It was quite a few of us, but it was just family, and had a graveside service. And I go to Goliad. He wanted to be buried under a big tree. He said he wanted to be able to see the sunrise and the sunset. And of course, there's cows out there or horses or stuff. And I feel real close to him. Definitely. Out there. One of my sisters lives on the ranch with her husband.
Oh, okay.
I go down there, but yeah, Goliad's not that far.
Peaceful too to
be there and
feel him.
Yeah. The first time I went down there, him and I were sitting on the back porch and had one of those kind of glider type rockers, that's just real soothing. Yeah. And we were sitting there, we weren't saying a word, and the sun was going down, and we were just sitting there. And I said something about, that's beautiful, the sun. He said, yeah, that's the most exciting thing that's happened all day. And he said, that's good enough for me.
So he was simple.
He was real calm. He was
real
very
simple and calm, really. Wow. Now, you know what I like the pic. So he has a coat, like, I like clothes, but he has this coat that I love to see him in. It's like is that calf skin or something like that?
Yeah.
I love that coat.
Yeah. Wade during one of the Super Bowls that he was in dressed like Dad with a hat. And actually my stepmom sent one of Dad's jackets. And so he wore it, but they didn't win that one. Won the one with Denver, but they didn't win that one. But anyway, yeah, it like I said, we feel like actually just the closest I felt to Dad since he left was Wade winning the Super Bowl, and he bought tickets for all of his siblings, all of his sisters, and we ran down on the field when we realized that they were going to win the Super Bowl, and all the confetti and all the stuff, and everybody's frantically looking for Wade, and all of us felt Dad. We felt Dad there. Wade felt Dad there, and it was kind of like he said, we kicked it in. Kicked it in. So yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. What do you think that he would have thought about the Houston Astros winning the World Series now twice? Oh,
Dad loved every kind of sport, and he loved anything Houston. I mean, he loved anything Texas. Anything Texas. I mean, you had the rivalry with Dallas, but Tom Landry and all the different guys. You could see Dad after games or whatever before game, go over and hug other players from other teams. And, so there's so much respect in football for good athletes and that kind of thing. But yeah, he would have been all over that. He would have loved that. When the Rockets did what they did, the years they did, he loved any kind of sport and anything Texas, but especially Houston.
Especially because I love Houston. My papa, he used to take off every year. That was his vacation during the World Series time. He always took vacation, and but he never got to see them win. So when they won in 2017, I was like, that's when I felt and thought about my grandma. Definitely feel that. Is there any I'm learning not to say last words anymore because I chatted with Judge Englehart a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Do you have any last words?" He's like, "You make me feel like I'm dying." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I won't say that anymore."
Not like that.
I want to say like that. But is there anything that you want to say that you think is important for people to remember about your dad? Or what do you want them to think about when they remember your dad?
I guess the thing I liked the best about him was he had a servant's heart. That's what I call it. It's a servant's heart. He was most of the time more interested in what was going on with you than he was about himself. My dad was extremely funny. But a lot of times he didn't realize he was funny because he was country, So, a lot of people didn't get his humor with that. But I guess just that, everybody is special. Everybody's different, and everybody is special. And I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. But since Dad's been gone, I find pennies. Okay, everybody has little things that they do. Well, when my dad died, a lot of times coin toss.
Yeah.
My dad would pick heads a lot of times when he did a coin toss. And so after he died, in fact, I was at Jack Squirrel. I had seen Dad that day. They told me he was passing away. And I had driven to Goliad, but I had to work. So I drove and I spoke with him on his, last day. He was actually, they said he could hear me, but he had his hearing aids in, but he had his eyes closed. And I shared with Dad just in my mind what I was thinking. I was crying so hard I couldn't talk.
Yeah.
And so I shared with him, and he opened his eyes, and I could hear him say it, and he didn't say it. And what he said was, "Oh, sugar," like that, because that's what he called me.
That's what he called you.
He called all of us sugar, but he said, "Oh, sugar," because I was kind of saying, if I ever did anything that upset you in my mind, did I do anything that and it was like, because no big deal.
Right.
And so anyway, I was going to come back the next day. And so I remember rubbing his crew cut and saying, "Dad, I'm going to come back tomorrow. But if you're not here, I'll know where you are." I kissed his forehead. And that night I drove back, finished my job, and went to Jack's Grill. And it was pouring down rain. And I danced. My dad loved to watch me dance. He came to a dance contest I was in one time, and he got mad because I got second. I didn't get first. He was not mad at me. He was mad at those judges. Okay. So, so anyway, I'm walking in the rain from Jack's Grill, because it was pouring down rain. And my phone had been going off, but I had it turned off. So I looked down, and there was all these phone calls, and I thought, what in the world? And I hit the button, and it was somebody. I don't even know if you were the one that called me, please call me and tell me. But anyway, when I answered, I said hello, and they said, "I'm so sorry to hear your dad died."
Oh no.
I did not. I said, "What did you say?" And they said, "We saw it on TV that your dad died." And what it was is, my brother had tweeted that Dad had gone to heaven.
Right.
I was in Jack's Grill. I didn't hear it. When my dad got fired from the Oilers, the exact same thing happened.
Really?
Dad, they announced it to the press before they announced it to the family, or before Dad could tell us. So I saw my dad was fired, on TV. Then I heard on the phone. But you know what? It was okay. After that, this is what I'm going to say. I find pennies in weird places. And if you see me somewhere and you see me see a penny, you'll watch me, and I'll go find that penny, and I'll pick it up, and I go, "Hi, Dad," like that. I'll put it in my pocket, and I'll carry it with me the rest of that day.
Oh wow.
Because I feel like he's always with me. He's
Yeah.
always with me.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, not to take it away, but my grandmother used to love Mr. Goodbars. She got me to eat Mr. Goodbars. So for my birthday, I would go see her for my birthday, and I would take her Mr. Goodbar. But anyway, if I get a craving for Mr. Goodbar, that's what I think about. It's my grandmother.
That's right.
I was like, "Get for me a Mr. Goodbar," and I'm like, my grandmother, So it's so funny how we connect things like that and find a way to remember them or to feel them. And that's how I feel her is through Mr. Goodbars. And I'm gonna say something. I forgot to say this, but I thought funny about your dad that reminds me of me. It says that he did not like to wait in line at the barbershop or the restaurant. He would go somewhere and find another barbershop if the line was too long. I'm like, yes, Bum, that's me.
Yeah. He did not like to wait in line. He didn't, and he wouldn't, just not get a haircut or something.
It's funny because most people be like, "I don't want nobody else to come out here but this person." He was like, "I'm not standing in this line. I'm gonna go to another barbershop." I thought that was
you can't go too wrong with a crew cut though. Just buzz.
Did he always have that cut pretty much?
He got that. I have post pictures. Sometimes you'll see him. He was very handsome growing up. But he got the crew cut when he was in the Marine Raiders. Okay. And then just after that, he kept it short. He kept it short. He never, one time he let it grow out for a while and then he realized he would have to part it. And he said, I'm not doing that. So he
I don't
dusted
blame
off
him.
again. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you that's my favorite. After I did a little research today, I was like, okay, that's my favorite. I gotta remember to bring that one up. Yes, we leave the restaurant because that line is just too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Susan,
Absolutely.
I want to thank you for sharing your story with me. I really thank you. This was good for me too. And I hope other people, when I finish editing, I'm gonna post it on YouTube, and I'll make sure that I send you the YouTube so you would post it. So people that want to hear more about Mr. Phillips, that they can.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want
Thank you
to.
so much.
Yeah,
It's fun to reminisce because, like I say, it feels like he's here with us. So yeah, it's
exactly.
so much fun.
And
Thank you
I
so
found
much.
that I smile so much when I have them. At first, of course, it was super sad about where things were going, but when I remember things like the Mr. Good bar, I
Yeah.
can't do anything but smile and remember that that was her candy and the candy that she shared with me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but thank you again for sharing,
Welcome.
for being
Thank you.
very transparent. And y'all, we love Bum Phillips, and was again, I knew nothing about football, but I knew there was a Bum Phillips and a Houston Oilers, and love you blue.
Yeah. Love you, Blue.
Yeah.
Always. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Okay.
Let me hold on one second, guys. Hey, I want to just say thank y'all for making the choice to click in. And I want y'all, if you have any comments, go on and comment to Miss Susan. If you see Susan out, she's always dancing and in her little zone, but she is very approachable. She's always approachable, and she will definitely talk to you. She's really a nice lady. You have not had the opportunity to meet her yet. But y'all make sure y'all go to youtube.com/chat with Trina, subscribe, and then hit the little bell so you can be notified when I upload the video. Susan, thanks again, and we'll see
Thank
you
you.
on the dance floor.
Okay. All right, babe. Yeah.
Bye. Hey, Susan, thank you again so much for taking time to chat with Trina tonight. It was a really great time. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It was great getting to know you, letting everybody else know about you, but also it was really meaningful to have this memorable moment to hear about your dad and his life and your life being the daughter of Bum Phillips. Guys, make sure y'all go to youtube.com/chat with Trina. Make sure you subscribe and then hit the little bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video.